Well, hello and welcome back to Partickhill Station. I'm Charlie. So I hope you saw the last video that I made of the Toronto Plate Layers Society Symposium. There were some interesting things there, presentation on the advancements of DCC and specifically Railcom. If you're a DCC guy, make sure you go and watch that. Very interesting. And also, the various small layouts that were there, and a couple of dealers selling new and used items. So today we're going to be looking at Triang Railways Volume 2 and a number of old model railway magazines, just reviewing the contents, what's new in model railways at the time of the magazine was published, and tips and tricks and layout reviews, etc. So that should prove interesting to everyone. And in terms of the Triang Hornby Volume 2, the reason I'm doing that is it was brought to my attention I didn't pay attention or review the BUDD diesel unit that was made back in the 70s or 60s, and nor did I review the Davy Crockett. And the one individual, I apologise, I forget your name, I'd have to go and look it up in an email or a comment that you had made. In fact, I might do that as an afterthought. So I've done that for you, and also looked at another couple of items. And interesting that I've got one of those BUDD DMUs, and you'll see it on the video that's coming. So thanks very much for joining in today. I really appreciate that. So let's go into the reading room. So here's the Triang Hornby Volume 2 book from 65 to 71. And like many of you, I have a number of the locos, wagons, coaches, etc. that are in this book. And it was brought to my attention on a previous read that I had done that I had passed over or ignored. These Triang Hornby BUDD RAILCARs, and also an accompanying locomotive, the Davy Crockett. So we're just going to have a quick look at this, and one thing, I do have this Northern Pacific 303, and although this is in let me see, this is in an ATT box, and it's never been out, funnily enough. Lo and behold, it says built in Britain and the name BUDD on it. So 303, I mean, it's got all the parts. The horns are in place. There's no windows broken. Couplings are all there. And I think that's it there. A nice loco, or a nice rail car, let's say. It looks as if there may have been something here that's been removed, and also on the other end they could have been transfers at the time. It's a little bit scuffed up here, but in general it's in very good condition. With the box, no explanation other than these numbers. It just very well might be that it was put in this box instead of the original Triang Hornby one. Well, it says R829 and R825 Northern Pacific and R830, R826 Santa Fe BUDD rail diesel cars made for ATT of America. Well, that's interesting. I was not aware of that. So once again, that's a rail car there. And I've had this for a number of years, and it's just been in a box. So, you know, I thought that was interesting. It does have a bit of an explanation here. BUDD diesel railcar, the transcontinental BUDD RDC was made between 61 and 65 and is described in Volume 1. They were both powered and non-powered, so this one's non-powered. It was also assembled in Australia, both power and dummy units being available. The 829 and 825, and they were inscribed Northern Pacific in black on the long panel over the windows on each side, as you can see. The ends of the unit were marked with 2 round black stickers. Okay, so that explains it. The stickers are gone except for one. The running number, which was printed in black on silver self-adhesive labels, was 303. Instead of the usual tension lock couplings, the units were fitted with NMRA couplings that were standard in America. The batch of 4,000 power cars and 4,000 non-power was bulk packed to the USA in 1968, where they were boxed up in grey ATT boxes. So there's the answer. ATT standing for American Train and Track Corp. It is known that 84 power cars and 175 dummy units did not go but had been disposed of overseas by the end of 1970. It's also known that some of these went out to Australia in plain Triang Hornby BG size boxes with the R number rubber stamped on one side. So there you go, there's a little mystery solved, and that was interesting. And here's some other examples of the Trans-Australia and the Chesapeake in Ohio Reading Company issues. So there's quite a variety of them made, all probably the same model, just different livery by the looks of things. And so onto the Davy Crockett. So it was the UK model R358S. In 1965 was the last year that Davy Crockett appeared in the UK catalogue, but the locomotive remained in production for export both as a solo model and in the R641 presentation sets. For these, 4,250 models were made between 65 and 68, of which 1,000 had smoke units. Another 500 went over to France in 1967 in the French version of the R641 set made for Meccano Triang. Canada received 1,200 solo models boxed in 1967. Then there was a Lima Crockett made specially for Italy, the Australian one, and there was a proposal to design a new GM diesel for the Canadian US markets. That's different. That's that one there. Anyway, that's. I hope that satisfies your curiosity, and I apologise for not including these in the previous review. These are big, thick books and difficult to cover everything. It's certainly a treasure trove of information. And the old Thomson coaches, I experimented with painting these with Citadel paints to give it a more sort of natural teak finish, and I did make a video about that. You can look for, maybe I'll include it in the at the end of the video, or at least include a link to it. Anyway, yeah, this is a great book, and it's volume 2. I've got the others somewhere. I'm not really sure where they are. I should dig them out. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that coverage of the Northern Pacific BUDD car, number 303, made by Triang Hornby for ATT in America. And it was engineered in HO scale, interestingly enough. And so if there's anything that you are interested in seeing out of that Triang book, or you'd like to have me read it out, drop me a note and I'll look it up, see what I can arrange. So we'll continue with a few different magazines here. I may or may not have reviewed them before, but we'll have a go and see what we can find. This one here, Model Railway Enthusiast. In 1998, it was $7.50. I thought that was one of the better magazines that was available. And this particular one came with a nice little brochure of Hornby trains. Anyway, let's have a quick look in here, see if there's anything of interest. And the world's largest layout plan for Millennium. I wonder if that took place. Saying negotiations are underway to secure premises in a tourist area or adjacent to a preservation society line. The Millennium Model Railway Group. So if you know about that, be interested to hear whether or not it took place. So a selection of 00 and N gauge locomotives, DMUs, and some nice brass models. It's a bit beyond my pay rate and technical abilities, I think. Don't think I'd have the patience to do it. There's a Brighton Evening Argus, 1992 Lima release, their class 73/1 and 73-101. There's a nice coach set with fairly close coupling, obviously. And I like the products from 10 More Commandments. Yeah, that's very nice. £52.99 was the RRP for that. I have a set of this and it runs really well. Variety of new releases again. Mini craft sanders. I've got a little mini sander that I use for plastic and balsa wood and the like. It's very handy to have. And you know, you look at these and you go, oh, that looks fantastic. I should rush out and buy it. And the Bachmann light, very nice. And you know, whatever their cost was in the day, oh, here we go. Each wagon, £5.55. And the Stamford version, which has coke rails and is priced at £5.75. Nice. I mean, do you really need any more detail than those? Always afraid something's going to break off. Prizer exclusive for Bachmann. £6.95 for each set. And there are 6 in a set, so they're about £1 a piece at the time. And I like these. I have a few of these tankers. They're really nice. And, you know, once again, do you really need much more detail than what was available for £5.75? I'd buy them every day of the week. Well, there you go, a local and a free trip from Harbin Hobbies. I've been in their store in Edinburgh. It's on the way out to Leith. Nice little store. There's Hatton's, not with us anymore. Tin plate. Well, I never had a tin plate model. I don't want to have one. Collectors have probably got them, and I can't say much more about that. Wheel tappers now. Are they still in business? Brian and Fred Mills at 33 Cheriton High Street, Folkestone. I've been in Folkestone to take the ferry over to France. Did that when I was a youth, let's say. I wonder what the guys look like now. There's an article on varnish water. Did a nice job. Plaster C painted and finished with a layer of varnish. Looks good. Engage, layout of the month, the Dewsbury Midland by Bradford Model Railway Club. Nice detail, buildings, ballasting. Yeah, it's all really nice. And it's 14 feet by 3 feet. Tight curves, but I guess it works okay. And they've packed everything in there. And there you go, the Stanley Coronation class. I've got that set, of course, in 00. Keep saying I'll sell it. I'll get around to it one of these days. And the coasties, I've made some of those, scratch built them. Did a video on how to do that also. Look at this, great coverage, and like I love the layered effect of the buildings as it recedes into the background backboards there. And a variety of rolling stock. Yeah, great layout. Tricks, I never had tricks. And there were 3 rail, maybe that was why. And another article on signals. Yeah, it's nice to have signals around the layout, whether you know what they mean or not. And I fall into that category. I don't know whether what they're actually indicating. And because they're not mechanised or electrified, it doesn't really make any difference to my layout, unless some of you rivet counters say, oh, Charlie, that's the wrong signal in the wrong place. You always open yourself up when you put stuff on the internet. Airfix. I have a fair number of pieces of Airfix. Locomotives and wagons and coaches. The locomotives have a different sound, no question. I'll admit that. But, you know, they're nice. And I'm quite happy with them. Never had any of these. I think the closest I got was a shoebox, cutting holes in it to make it into a station or a tunnel. So it's nice that these articles are still available for all these bits and pieces, and people share that information. And the various suppliers listed here. And there you go, wagons from history. You can apply your own wagon sides. I guess from a distance, the other side of the layout, if it's sitting in a siding, might look okay, but I guess they had their uses back in the day. and how you can enhance your wagon. Light and industrial railways. Interestingly enough, I came across some photographs of, they were a bit vague, of a pug 040 that was in John Brown Shipyard. I can remember it being there. It would bring in sheets of steel, plate steel and structural sections, and take them from one side of the yard to the other. And recently I was in touch with the John Brown Historical Museum Society, and they provided me with additional information on that model. Well, on the actual prototype. Somebody got a new baby. Congratulations, Mr. Rossi. You're a healthy big boy here. And the Carabelle set, I don't have the box, but I've got everything else. I've got a number of carriers and a number of cars, and I've got the 060. Really well engineered little locos. 32mm narrow gauge. And we've all got these. I'm sure every one of you has at least one of these in a box somewhere. I don't have the Polo Mints, and I don't have the black one, but I've got United Dairies, a couple of different versions. I'll need to check and see if I've got an Esso tanker. I might have one of those. Now, I've never seen this, and it's HO, and that's the thing. Here in Canada, you go to these swap meets and model railway shows, railroad shows, you'll always find stuff like that in HO, and you go, oh, that kind of looks good, maybe I should get that. And I fell into the trap when I bought that Class 33 and the 4 coaches, blue and grey coaches that went along with it. And it wasn't until I got home I realised they were the wrong scale. They looked a bit different and I should have been sharper, but there you go. Anyway, I sold them to a dealer. I think I get $60 for it. Anyway, it's time to move on. The Collectors Club. Repro Triang boxes are on the way. The Bachmann Times 1997 special issue wagon. It's now gone out to the members. And it's one of the new Blue Riband 8 Plank 9 wheelbase wagons. Yeah, look, they're nice. Hornby 00. And there's Peter Hilton's pantograph for an E3000. And at that time it's £25 per pair. Wow. And I've got the EM2 and I've got both pantographs. Usual list of shows, providers. Okay. Have a look at this one. What year? 1999. once again, that was July, $7.50 or £2.10. Drums Undercover, a casting from 10 Commandments, unpainted state, and priced at £2 plus postage. Well, that sounds pretty good, but I can print my own now. Yeah, this is a different coupling, shared coupling. I've got that. These are nice buses. Books and videos. I've got a bunch of videos. Next time I get back to the UK, I'll bring them with me and hand them out. Uh-oh, child-free showtime. In reply to G. Heathcliff's letter, MRE May 99 issues, where he says children under 12 and their families should be banned from long-running shows for a few hours, so modelers like him, who are frustrated serious modelers, can have a good look around. King's Markham. And this one is in Canada, the 00 gauge. In Britain, we take it for granted that we can drive to a model show and set up a layout the same day. In Canada, much greater distances can make this impossible. And did you know that Canada has shows devoted to British modelling? Yes, I know that. And, you know, if you watch my channel, you'll see that I make an effort to cover any of the shows that I attend. And this is from the Calgary British Railway Modellers. That's like a 2,500 mile drive, and I won't be going. It's a show too far, as they would say. But, you know, they've done a nice job with their layout, and terrific that they're keeping up and promoting the hobby. There is a show in Calgary every year, and this club participates. And it's a nice layout. If I remember correctly, they made it all the way to Toronto one year for the Great British Model Railway Show. And like, laurels for that, definitely. Took my hat off to them. Nice detail. That's dedication. I think I saw some of these at the show in Brampton. If you have a look at my video of that show, you might see them. DCC. So you may know, and if you don't, I'll just go over it one more time. I'm a long-standing DC enthusiast, and for a number of reasons I didn't make the quantum leap into DCC until just recently, when you know, I saw decoders for $20 US. This was prior to the sanctions and tariffs. And I bought 4 from TCS in the States. And then I get hit for duty and postage, and the $20 ended up being $30 at the end of the day for each of them. However, having said that, I decided to wire up one of my princesses and it didn't work. I think it burnt out. However, if you look at my video, you'll see that I was successful in using the Hornby decoder, which I had purchased along with the Hornby Select controller from Hatton's a number of years ago. Anyway, it's always nice to go back in and review these articles about DCC back in 1999. And, you know, the whole topic of CVs and configuration. And, you know, there's a Q&A here, so it's always very worthwhile to go through these. And Lens, who were, I think they were the original manufacturers of DCC. But now you've got Railcom, and I only found out about Railcom when I attended the Plate Layer Society Symposium, where an individual from the Merge group did a presentation on the advancements of DCC and Railcom specifically, and where it takes DCC to, and fills in the number of gaps that were missing. So if you're really into DCC, have a look at Railcom. And have a look at that presentation that I posted. Some N-gauge stuff here. The Patriot, nice looking models. Hatton's Gone and Missed mainline. These are nice. I've got a number of mainline coaches. I've got some mainline tankers, wagons. Yeah, nice stock, no question. And here's From Baseboard to Scenery by John Parkinson and his layout, Cambrington. Hiding the fiddle yard. Well, there's more ways than one to hide a fiddle yard, but this is a nice, interesting little article on Chris Ellis and how he approached it. Bassett Lock. It would be a nice model to make, the old factory. Letters from America. Dear cousins. So he talks about taking various trips, Texas and California, Montana. Always interesting to read this. A Sonning and Sonnet. A nice sketch there. And the Barry Heritage. I wonder if there's anything left there. Can any of you tell me if it's if there are the remains of things past still sitting around there? HAA and CDA. Nice. Nothing wrong with them. The Collectors Club. from Lima and Rennes. I was not a member of either. I was a member of the Hornby Collectors Club, and I got a couple of pieces from them before I gave it up. Anyway, that's another one. I'll just take a break for a minute. So we'll change it up here and go on to Ian Allen's Model Railway Constructor, November 1986, priced at £1. So let's see what they've got. The engine shed, Hattons, a POA, Ukrainian livery, usual news desk, show guide. I wonder if these are still going. Ilford and West Essex, Washington Model Railway Club, Seachat Model Railway Group, Orpington and District. I know the Greenock and District, I think that's still going. Well, I never saw any of these, not familiar with them at all. Model Irish Railways. Now, Mark McDade, Donegal dad, would be interested in this. Model Irish Railways, CIE, 40-foot container wagon kit, 4mm at £5.95. They're going to say the latest addition to the range of modern Irish rolling stock kits by Model Irish Railways and Kingsway Drive, Portadown, is the 40-foot bogie container wagon. They've built 278 of these 40-foot skeleton container flats. Inchicore works since 1971. They can accommodate containers from 10 to 40 foot. The model is supplied with May-Gibb 00 gauge wheel sets and bearings, but the narrowness of 16.5 gauge against the Irish 5'3" does give the model a narrow gauge look. The kit is available without wheels at £4.45 for those who work to 21mm gauge. Interesting. I'm sure Mark will find that article interesting. And if you want, you can take a snapshot, or I'll copy it and send it to you. Some other nice kits. The Coopercraft AEC, I've got one of those unbuilt. And there's a warship. Steam, live steam for Garden Railways. Nice diagram of how it all works. That's very good. I like to see that kind of stuff. And in the movie I made of the Paris railway centre, they had a loco with the one side all cut off so that you could see the inside and how the system worked, just like this. It was so interesting. And there you go. Like, nice thing about this is, if you're handy, you could easily 3D print that. I mean, you model a rectangle and then you model the stiffeners. Quite simple, space them out, Yeah, you could do that if you took your time. Nice drawings. I like to see the data files. And there's another one. And the accompanying photographs to help. Triang TT. Well, I guess there's still a market for TT. I can't say that I really know anybody who is into TT. And I don't think I've seen any here in the Toronto area. There you go, building a high fuel brake van. And canals, yeah, I've seen a number of canals. Like, this is perfect for a canal if you've got one, or if you want to build one into your layout. This is really very good. Would be an interesting article as a prototype study. Look at that. Tremendous information. You can also go there and photograph it because it's probably still going. And there's an EM layout. British Rail diesel shunters, Scottish Region Class 06. I might have seen the odd one of these round about Glasgow. Yeah, Andrew Barclay down in Kilmarnock. And some of them were exported to Italy. Patrick's models over there in Italy. Patrick, if you have a look, see if any of these are still around. Some ended in the Western Region's Reading Signal Works. Yeah, it's interesting how all these locomotives get passed around when they had kind of met their best buy day for the area in which they were assigned, but ended up in a different geographic location doing something else. And look at that, like, there's a full drawing. Like, that's terrific. And you could take one of those Lima shunters, the old Lima one that many people would have. I've got a couple, and you could modify it to make it look like this. Terrific information here. The halcyon days of BR steam. I particularly remember visiting a locomotive shed in Scotland in the mid-1950s, where the shed master apologised for the state of his locomotives. They were mostly pre-grouping in BR line black and were spotless. Interesting. Now, this is interesting because Pater Practicus you'll find him on YouTube. He is 3D modelling and printing interiors at the moment for the BR Blue Mark 1, 2, 3 coaches, and he's modelling the whole seating arrangement with tables and partitions for the toilets, etc. Painting, 3D printing them and painting them, and then installing them, and he demonstrates that on his YouTube channel. I downloaded one of his files, took it to the library, because the libraries here, probably told you, have 3D printers, and came out beautiful. Very impressive. So if you feel like taking up a little challenge and installing a new, better seating arrangement, have a look at Peter Practice's YouTube channel and find his 3D print files. Give him a small donation to help him along. But yeah, terrific stuff. Anyway, look, we can continue this another time. Railway modeller, model rail, and another model railway constructor. All great information. And thanks very much for bearing with me, and I appreciate your support. And I apologise once again for missing out on those BUDDs and the Davy Crockett local, but now we've covered that, I feel much better. You know, as I said, there's lots of competition out there, thousands of YouTube channels to look at, and I appreciate each and every one of you taking your time to set it aside and watch this and my other videos. All I ask is that you give me the big thumbs up. You know how it goes. Subscribe if you wish. Of course, it doesn't cost you anything. And which is what I really enjoy is reading your comments. Good, bad, or indifferent. They're all welcome. And we'll see you next time here at Partickhill Station. Bye for now.